First off, I would just like to apologize if you can hear the Killers playing in the background because my dad is cooking dinner and decided that right as I was about to start filming, he wanted to listen to some music in the kitchen. Anyway, hello everybody, my name is Kaylin and today we are back with a book review. So the book that we will be discussing today is Lady Midnight by Cassandra Clare. I finished this a couple of days ago and I'd been putting off reading it for a really long time. I don't know why. Probably because of the size, and I thought it would take me a really long time to get through it, but it only took me 2 days because I was sitting in bed not moving at all. So anyway, let's get into this. So just a bit of a non-spoiler summary for those of you who haven't read the book yet and do not wish to be spoiled. Lady Midnight takes place 5 years after City of Heavenly Fire, but instead of following Jason Clary, we are following Emma Carstairs and Julian Blackthorne. So at this stage, they're 17 years old and the fairies are on the brink of war with Shadowhunters because of the Cold Peace. But when mutilated bodies start showing up that are both human and fairy, and they are killed in the same way that Emma's parents were killed 5 years ago, they develop a little bit of a shaky truce. And it's because of this truce, Emma and Julian see it as an opportunity to get back Mark Blackthorne, who was stolen by Sebastian Morgenstern and given to the Wild Hunt about 5 years ago. I remember thinking before I found out that Lady Midnight took place 5 years after, I thought that they were still going to be 12 years old. Anyway, as soon as I found out what their actual ages were, it kind of got me thinking. Cassie Clare always kind of delves into the forbidden love. So you've got like Clary and Jace, they were siblings. Yes. You've got Alec and Magnus because he's gay and he's also dating a warlock. You've got Will and Tessa, which was like Shadowhunter warlock thing. And then you've got Simon and Izzy, which was a Shadowhunter and a vampire thing. And judging by the fact that there's like a definition of parabatai on the back of Lady Midnight, it kind of got me thinking that like maybe we're going to be questioning the rules of the parabatai relationship within this thing, and I was not disappointed. Alright, so let's just have a bit of a spoiler summary now. So if you haven't read this book yet, please stop watching right about now because you are going to be heavily spoiled. Okay, anyway, so dead bodies of fairies and mundanes, which causes the Nephilim of the Los Angeles Institute to make a 3-week alliance while they try and figure out who is behind the murders. And then the fairies are just like, hey, you can have Mark Blackthorne? Like, you can have Mark Blackthorne for these 3 weeks while you try and figure out what the hell is going on. And at the end of the 3 weeks, he can decide whether he wants to stay with the Blackthorne family. I can't talk today. Or if he wants to go back to the Wild Hunt. So there's definitely tension between Emma and Julian because Julian actually doesn't come into the story for several pages because he's currently in England with his siblings visiting like an old aunt or something. Anyway, as soon as he comes back, there is bloody sexual tension and I enjoyed it way too much. And judging by his reactions, and since we get a couple of point of views from him, it's clear to see that he is in love with her and Emma is only just starting to realize like, wait, why am I having these weird feelings? I don't know what they mean. Like, is my parabatai? That's really weird. Shouldn't be feeling these things. So as everything is progressing, we're just learning about different characters such as Christina and Perfect Diego and everything like that. We discover this story's namesake, Lady Midnight, and we realize that she is the person that the murderer is trying to bring back. Skip forward to the end of the novel, we find out Malcolm is the fucking guardian, which I didn't expect at all, and he's trying to bring Annabelle Blackthorne back from the dead. Because of this little poem, like in the end it's Blackthorne blood, he needs to kill a Blackthorne in order to be able to bring her back. So he takes Tavy and then they fight like all the Shadowhunters and Malcolm, at least the Shadowhunters of the Los Angeles Institute, and then Emma stabs him and he dies. By this point, Emma and Julian, like, they've slept together. They're just like, we will figure this out and we'll just keep it a secret. But then she's talking to Jem and Jem tells her that parabatai can't be in love because they actually become so powerful if it's like unrequited love that they can go insane, they can go just angry and mad, and they will kill everyone that they care about and eventually they'll kill themselves. So it's because of that that she decides to fake date Mark Blackthorne because he is the one person who can make Julian feel as, like, make him doubt his feelings, essentially. And the very, like, one of the last lines when she's like, I need you to fake date me, he holds his hand out and he's like, why lie? So if they're going to have a real relationship, I'm not ready for this. My eyes are tearing up because I'm getting so emotional. Emma and Julian, like, meant to be together. Mark can, whoop, go back to Kieran because... Anyway, maybe we should move on to some of my actual thoughts right now. So, okay, I'm not the biggest fan of prologues. I'm just gonna put that out there. I find them rather pointless. Especially, well, I'm not gonna say especially, but in like Cassandra Clare's Immortal Instruments series, reading a couple of those prologues, I guess that they give you information, but they feel unnecessarily long. And this one wasn't too bad because I did get interested by like Kit's character and everything. And I love how they mention that Jace and Clary are like some of the most famous Shadowhunters out there because we grew up with their story. So they're like family to us, but they're famous to everyone else. And it's just... it's cool. With Julian's first point of view, I actually wrote down quite a few quotes to help us realize that he is in love with her, because the first thing that he says is the last thing he wanted to talk about was the kind of love Parabatai felt for each other. Clue number 1, he's in love with her. Clue number 2, he says leaving Emma was hard but good, like an addict getting away from the source of his addiction. If that doesn't make it clear enough to you that he's in love with her, then you're fucking hopeless. You're never gonna figure it out. And number 3, look, the Clave makes their rules and they live by their rules, but that doesn't mean that with the right pressure, the rules never change. So he's talking about the Parabatai rule kind of inadvertently, but we get it because we know what he's feeling. Anyway, I was a little bit jealous of Christina in the beginning because I'm just thinking when Livy comes in to Emma and she says, oh, we should set up Julian and Christina, I'm over here like, you bet fucking not. She can keep her little beady eyes to herself and her perfect Diego, which I'm actually really happy that they got back together in the end though, by the way. And this is a really stupid note that I wrote down, but it's kind of covered in both the Infernal Devices and the Mortal Instruments that Church hates everyone except for Jem, and yet he's sitting on Emma's chest in Lady Midnight. So I'm just thinking, can he like, does he know that she's a Carstairs? He can just sense it. I love how they keep mentioning the Mortal Instruments because Magnus is a character. He doesn't come in that often, but he is there a couple of times. And we find out that Clary and Jace are running the New York Institute. Clary and Simon are Parabatai. Alec and Magnus adopted a son and they named him Max after his little brother, and now Simon and Isabel are getting engaged. So originally I thought that there was something building between Mark and Christina because of like the kind of tension that was going on there, and then we figure out that he's actually in love with Kieran of the Wild Hunt. I didn't see that coming. Let's just put that out there, but I ship it so hard. Like, I found Mark's character really amusing throughout the whole thing. I really love reading like about him and from his point of view because when he first comes back from Fairy, he's so fancy and mature and polite and everything and just speaking the way that they speak, but at the same time he has his moments where he's perfectly human, like when he's talking to Jules about like how Jules killed their dad and everything. So I like the kind of shift and how at the end of the book he appears more Shadowhunter than Fairy because he's decided that he's going to stay with his family instead of going back to the Wild Hunt, so take that. But yeah, they had sex, like, but it broke my heart when they wake up in the morning and Julian leads Emma to believe that he doesn't actually love her that way when Emma has basically confessed that she does like him, and we know now that he was lying, and we knew from the beginning that he was in love with her, but when you're reading from Emma's point of view, it's so easy to believe what she believes, and I feel like that's why I didn't really guess about Malcolm either, because when I'm reading from the main character's point of view, I swear to God, I am as clueless as them, and I don't make assumptions. I'm just going along with what they know, because I prefer to be surprised. Overall, like, there are no point of views that you don't want to read. Like, yeah, sure, the timing may be really shit sometimes, because you're thinking, all I want to do is carry on from this character's point of view, but then as soon as you start reading this point of view over here, it's just, you enjoy everything that she's written, and I feel like I kind of connected more with this story than I did with the Mortal Instruments, but I do want to find out a little bit more about the characters from the Wild Hunt, especially Kieran and Gwyn. I love him so much, and I'm hoping that there's a bit more like reference about them in Lord of Shadows. I believe there is, but I'm not even like 10% sure, so you really shouldn't like take my word for it on that. Kieran, fucked up big time. Like, that scene made me so mad. I don't know why I wanted Emma to get whipped, because I do like it when the badass female character does have a bit of a damsel in distress moment occasionally. But like, he ratted out Mark for spilling a secret because he thought that it would mean that Mark had to come back to the Wild Hunt and he could be with him, until he realized that he wasn't being brought back, he was going to be whipped. And then Julian took the punishment and got like whipped 3 or 4 times, but then Emma ended up taking the punishment, which was 20 lashes, and it's like what? So yes, I was very sad when Mark and Kieran kind of separated and declared, well, Mark declared Kieran his enemy. The whole Parabatai thing, when they become more powerful, I was thinking maybe something like was wrong with Emma in like her head, or like maybe she was just like dying internally or something when it said that the runes started stinging. But as soon as we figure out that they become more powerful, everything like makes more sense. Kit is a Herondale. Christopher Herondale. I really didn't see that coming once again. Honestly, I should just stop making videos. Like, how could I not see that coming? Okay, so the last point that I have to make is like, why didn't Emma just tell Julian the truth? Like, come on. I get that, like what Jen was saying, that when it's a forbidden love and you know that it's a forbidden love, it just makes you want it that much more. And I guess that that's the train of thought Emma's fucked up mind was taking when she didn't tell him the truth. And she's following a bit of a Will Herondale thing here and trying to make Julian hate her instead of love her, but it's like, it's not gonna work. Learn from past experiences. Just that's one of the reasons that I don't want to start reading Lord of Shadows, because I don't want to have to deal with that awkwardness. I really don't want it to become like a love triangle thing. That's not even triangle, whoop, between like Emma and then Julian and Mark. I don't want to read about that. But like, oh, and Annabelle woke up, by the way. I don't know how she woke up, but apparently the eyes open, so we'll see what happens there. This book was a bit of a roller coaster. If you can't tell, my emotions are kind of all over the place. I think this is the most, like, alive I have appeared in any video that I have ever made. Yeah, so I did rate this book 5 stars on Goodreads. I had to take a break from the world for a little bit though, so I jumped into a new Wattpad story. Yes, I highly recommend reading. I'm just gonna stop because I'm rambling way too much now. I will see you guys next week with a new video, hopefully something that's not another book review. Sayonara. See you later.